Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. Here we are, 2022, and for the first video of 2022, I decided to go with a very special topic. We are going to be talking about New Year's resolutions. But not for me, for knife manufacturers. Because why would I set goals and resolutions for myself when it's much easier to just sit back and, judge other people? I was originally going to do this as a face cam video, but I was running out of time and filming and other complications, so we're doing this voiceover edition. I'll throw up some pictures and stuff and editing. Right now I'm just recording. These aren't always my favorite videos to do because for some reason whenever I do the recording, a lot of the enthusiasm that I'm trying to put into my voice gets lost, but whatever. We'll give it a shot. The first thing I want to talk about are pocket clips. In 2022, I want knife companies to start paying very close attention to their pocket clips, and I want them to make them right. I don't think it's that hard to make good pocket clips. Again, I don't have experience in, the knife manufacturing world, but honestly, I feel like everyone kind of agrees on what makes a good clip. In the sense that, you can argue about deep carry versus non-deep carry, tip up versus tip down, but I feel like a lot of people, if you're talking about a deep carry pocket clip, a lot of people agree that a deep carry pocket clip should be short, it should be recessed into the scale with flat screws. I think everyone thinks that across the board, but still companies don't do it, and it's frustrating. And another thing that frustrates me is when pocket clips just don't fit the knife, and the company keeps using the same clip over and over again anyways. I have an entire video about pocket clips and what makes a good clip, in my opinion. You should definitely go check that out. But, there are just some clips that are not good, especially when you put them on knives that have a thin handle or short handle or, not saying any names, Civivi. I'll try not to rag on Civivi in this video. Gosh, I'll try and resist. But yeah, definitely I want to see companies start paying special attention to pocket clips and the knives that they're putting them on, making sure they get those pocket clips nailed exactly right, because there are so often cases where we find a bad pocket clip can ruin an otherwise fantastic design, and I just don't want to see any more of that. So yeah. New Year's resolution number 4. I want companies to start using appropriate steels. And this one's kind of an odd one too, but something I've noticed a lot is sometimes steels get put on designs that just don't do them. The steel just doesn't work for it. An example I can think of right now is the Concept Shikari. When this knife was first announced, I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to get my hands on one of those and take it out in the woods and use it and test it and abuse it, because Concept has typically used S35VN, a steel that I really love for bigger, more hard use knives. I think S35VN is a very well-rounded steel for all kinds of different tasks. But then I looked at the specs on the Shikari and it's 20 CV on a 4-inch blade. And that didn't sit right with me because 20 CV is not tough. 20 CV does have its place, 100%, if it's well done, which is a whole other can of worms. But on the Shikari, I just don't think 20 CV was the right choice, even though the blade is thick and stuff, and that can counteract the lower toughness to a degree. I just didn't think 20 CV was a good choice for that knife, especially when there's other knives and Concepts lineup that are in S35VN that might have been better in 20CV. So if they're going to use 20CV, why not use it on those models and save the S35VN for things like the Shikari? Whatever. I remember Cold Steel, the 4 Max. There was a version that was in 20CV, and Cold Steel switched it to S35VN. And I heard some people, complain about that, especially at the $400 price tag. But for a hard-use knife, S35VN makes a lot more sense than 20CV. Of course, I think the 4 Max would be absolutely amazing in something like crew wear, but, that's something we'll talk about another time. Another steel I don't really understand being used as much as it is Nitro V. So I know a lot of custom makers use Nitro V, but we're not talking about custom makers here. Specifically, I'm going to talk about Civivi because I've had a lot of their Nitro V. They're using it in a lot of their pocket knives, and I just don't really get it. I do not like their Nitro V. The edge retention, I don't think is anything spectacular. The corrosion resistance is crap in my experience, and the sharpenability is very all over the place. My Baby Banter sharpened up beautifully, took an amazing mirror edge, really nice. My bow in Nitro V, just anyways, there's videos you can watch on those knives as well. But the thing is Nitro V is actually a pretty tough steel, and so putting it on things like the Baby Banter or the bow or the Imperium, to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I recently got to handle a fixed blade belonging to a friend of mine in Nitro V, and to me that made a lot more sense. I used it a little bit. I do think the heat treat was a little bit better than Civivi's been doing. I used it a little bit, and it made a lot more sense in a fixed blade form. And Civivi has been throwing Nitro V around everywhere, and I just don't think they're putting it on the right models. So definitely something I want to see. Speaking of Civivi and Nitro V, then something I want to see going into 2022 is budget brands staying budget. I feel like Civivi is not a budget brand anymore. I was on Blade HQ just the other day looking at the Synergy 3. A $93 Civivi. That's not the fancy version. You know, it's not the Damascus and carbon fiber or whatever. Those ones I think are $130. But, you know, I feel like we can pretty much say right now that Civivi's not really a budget brand anymore. They've kind of carved out their a new price tier for themselves. In fact, I don't think they make anything under, you know, or at least new releases. I don't think I've seen any new releases from them under $55 in a while, which is still budget, but, you know, they are getting a little more expensive. Another thing, the CJRB Scoria was a $75 to $80 knife. And it's a fantastic knife. I love the Scoria, but it's not exactly budget. It's an expensive knife. And CJRB has a few designs coming out that I am so excited for. I cannot wait to get my hands on them. And I hope they're priced as well as CJRB used to be. You know, you can pick up a feldspar, a large feldspar for $30, $35. That's a great deal. And I want to see CJRB going back to that. Likewise, it seems like Civivi is upping their prices by throwing on, you know, Nitro V. They seem to overvalue their Nitro V quite a bit. Honestly, I wish they'd just swap it out for 14C, drop the bucks a little bit, and Civivi's 14C is absolutely fantastic stuff. But, you know, the other thing too is, I guess the Synergy 3, you know, is a collaboration with the designer. Honestly, I thought it was going to be an integral, like the original is. I thought it was going to be a G10 integral, and I was like, oh wow, this is going to be cool. An integral knife for under $100. I thought that was something that I'd be really into, but it's not an integral, so kind of confusing there. But the bottom line is, I just want budget brands to really to make an effort to stay budget. And I know inflation's happening, prices are going up all over the place, but, you know, if that means budget brands stop using Nitro V or AR RPM 9 and go back to D2 and 14C and stuff to, you know, stay under there, I think it'd be okay. Obviously, I love AR RPM 9. I want to see AR RPM knives still coming out, but I also want some more budgety stuff along with them for people who are budget knife people, or just because, honestly, getting a good tool for a good price is very satisfying. So that's what I want to see, is budget brands staying budget. In fact, I mean, I'm not going to end just yet, but I think that's one of the reasons brands like Petrified Fish or what's another one I was thinking of? Sativian. Brands like that, I think that's one of the reasons they're becoming so popular all of a sudden, is because they are staying budget. And I think some of the big hitters out there like Civivi and CJRB are going to have to, you know, release some models at more competitive prices if they want to stay competitive. All right, New Year's resolution number 2. I want to see more innovation from knife companies. Not necessarily makers, because I feel like innovation never goes away. when you're talking about just the small-time makers or designers. This year we had well, I guess the Shark Lock came out in 2020 or 2019, but yeah, you guys are welcome. Give you some of that sweet 80/20.5 ASMR. But, Andrew Dimko is a designer who's always innovating. He's always coming up with new locks, crazy stuff. That's awesome. Another innovation this year that was really cool was MagnaCut, designed by Laren Thomas. That's fantastic. So when you're talking about individuals, creativity is still alive and well. However, I feel like when you move into the production realm and especially the in-house designs from a lot of companies just aren't original. They aren't innovative. We're starting to see the same thing over and over again. We'll talk about that here in a little bit, but what I mean by innovation is just do something a little different than you have done. One of the last innovations I saw come out of a brand, and not really an individual, was CGRB and Artisan, and they did two things. They invented the new steel, AR RPM 9, which is fantastic, and they came out with their recoil lock, which wasn't this year, but, that's innovation from a company. That wasn't a designer or a metallurgist who came up with those ideas. That was the company themselves, and of course they partnered with with other people to get it done. But I want to see more of that. And here I have my CGRB Crag with the recoil lock. I hope that CGRB does more with the recoil lock. I want to see them release some thumb stud knives with the recoil lock. I think that'd be really cool. But I just want to see companies innovating. Maybe, I don't know, designing new locks or stepping out of their personal norm. How cool would it be to see a hard use, simplistic folding backlock knife from, I don't know, CGRB or Civivi or We? Nothing, I don't want to see a whole lot of, ball bearing flippers and stuff. It'd be really cool to see a We branded just, on washers backlock with, I guess not a simple steel, but a simple steel. That's the word. Good ergos, something like that. That's just kind of out of the norm for them. I think that'd be really cool to see. Or it'd be really cool to see, I don't know, like CGRB. Something that makes me really excited is CGRB has been starting to branch out into fixed blades. I think that's fantastic. They came out with the Sillax, designed by Dylan Mallory. Great knife review coming sometime. And then they're coming out with a bushcrafting fixed blade. I think that's awesome. I think that's really, really cool that they're stepping out of their comfort zone of EDC budget folders and doing new things. That's awesome. I want to see more of that going into 2022. And the last thing, the number one resolution for 2022 is I want to see companies be weird. I want knife manufacturers to not be afraid of being weird, of doing something different, of taking a risk and just going with it. Something that I thought was really interesting this year was seeing We release a lot of these limited editions. They did the Seer and the Upshot, and I think they did a couple where, they said, we're only making 400 versions of this particular knife. Ta-da. I think it'd be really great for them to make a weird design. Just a really weird design. Maybe it has a really weird blade shape or really weird handle design. Maybe it has a really weird lock. And then, making that a limited run. And then if people really like it, they can make more. I just want to see companies be weird. We're seeing so much of the same, which isn't necessarily a bad thing from just a user standpoint. You have a lot of different options of, utility knives. You can find one that, I guess, oh, it's in my color or whatever, woohoo. But, especially from an enthusiast standpoint, it's nice to see something weird. And even from someone who's just purely a user, honestly, I use my knives a lot. And I like to have weird stuff. That's one of the reasons I love my Demco or my Cold Steel 8015 is because it's something that no one else I work with has, you know? And so it's a great tool, but it's also really unique and it makes me feel special, I guess. But I definitely do want to see companies being weird. And, you know, I can't exactly tell you what that would look like, but I want to see companies doing things that they don't typically do. And just, I don't want people to feel afraid to make that crazy knife because someone might love it. And honestly, different is good. I think I'm going to leave it there, guys. These are my New Year's resolutions for knife companies because, woohoo, I'm a jerk. I can put things on other people, but these are just things that I kind of want to see, wish I could see, and these are things that I will be looking for going into 2022. I'll have my eye open for knives that fit all these different categories and satisfy gaps that I think are lacking in the knife community. But anyways, that's going to be it. Thank you for watching / listening, and I've been Gideon. I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.